Hello everyone. Welcome to another live video here at the park. Thank you all for joining me today. So in this one we're going to be talking about the moment the narcissist regrets losing you. Because contrary to common belief, yes, there are these moments when the narcissist does regret losing you. Now, it could be mistaken with guilt or remorse. Narcissists don't feel remorse. They don't ever really feel sorry for what they did. They're more just sorry that they got caught, or that they have to deal with the consequences of their actions. They don't feel sorry for you. They may feel guilty. They may feel like their actions are bad. They may feel shame. They may feel like they're a bad person because of what they've done. But then also you've got to remember that narcissists are shame-based people who are doing everything they can to avoid reflecting on their shame. So they're not ever really consciously thinking that they're a bad person. They're constantly running away from it. And they're using anyone and anything that they can distort or reinterpret inside their minds to see themselves as a good person, or as someone who just can't do anything wrong. This is what they do, and this is how they survive. But as for feeling regrets, yes, the narcissist can regret losing you. This is why many of them, they try their best to hold on to you. When you start to figure them out from the very beginning, this is why they turn against you. This is why they heavily love bomb you. And then when that doesn't work, they devalue you. They triangulate you. They try to make you insecure. They target your confidence. This is why they run a smear campaign, discredit you, isolate you, sabotage you. This is why they do all of these things. It's all because they know that if they lose control of you, they are going to regret losing you. And this is why they're so insecure. This is why they're so erratic sometimes. This is why they're all over you. This is why they have all of these tactics. What do you think all of this is for? Of course, it's to keep you under control, because they know that if they lose that control over you, then they're having to deal with their feelings of insecurity. They're not going to be feeling too good about themselves now that you're gone. Because that's just it. When you leave a narcissist, when you find your own independence outside of them, you find your own happiness, it makes them feel regrets. Because typically, when you're under a narcissist's control, nothing's ever going to get better for you. Nothing's going to be any good. It's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to improve in any sort of way. It's only when you're in isolation, when you're away from them, that things can then get better. Nothing gets good around them. This is why they need you as their source of supply. Because only you can make things better for them. But they can't do anything for you. You can only make it better for yourself, and that comes from you being alone. That comes from you being as far away from them as you possibly can. Because as long as you're around them, they're only going to deplete you. And yet at the same time, they know that they need you. They know that they can't do without you. And this is why they hold on to you. This is why they use all of these tactics. It's all to keep you under their influence and control, to stop you from going anywhere, to keep themselves as the only source of influence in your life, because that's where their supply comes from, is having that influence and control over you. Without that, they have nothing. They have no power, no energy to do anything. They will typically just isolate. They will experience a narcissistic collapse if they don't get that from you. They will self-destruct. So this is why they've got to hold on to you. This is why they can't let you go. This is why they do all of the things that they do to try and keep you trapped, to prevent you from moving on. Or if they know that it's inevitable that you're going to move on, then they will try to discredit you, sabotage you, isolate you. So then at least you're not in any sort of position that they're going to be envious of, or that they feel like now you're doing better without them. Because, you know, they're constantly comparing their lives to everyone else's, and they don't want to see you doing good, especially on your own. Because they don't live authentically. They never actually live in their lives. All they're ever doing throughout their day, throughout every day of their lives, all they're doing, they're not experiencing the moment. They're not enjoying anything that's happening in their lives. And again, that's a common mistake that people make. They think they're narcissists, they're all about, and yeah, they are all about consumption. They're just trying to consume as much as they can. But that's not so much that they enjoy it. It's because they feel like they're in a perpetual state of starvation, because they have a void that can never be filled. And it all revolves around feeding their ego. So they're constantly comparing themselves to other people. And they're thinking, oh, he's getting this, she's getting that. They're doing this, they're going over here. And they're comparing it with what they're doing. And if they see that they don't measure up, then it makes them feel very insecure. And especially you, they're constantly comparing themselves to you, because that initial injury at the beginning, they felt envious of you. And that's what drove them to target you, is because they wanted to take from you. They wanted to steal your light. They wanted what was yours to be theirs. They wanted to feel as good as you do. And so from that point on, they view you as their measuring point, because they wanted to live up to you. They wanted to feel as good as you do, because when they targeted you out of lack. So they felt depleted themselves. They felt deficient. They were seeking a high. And they sought after you. They saw everything that you had. And they witnessed your emotions. And they wanted that for themselves. They wanted to feel that good. They wanted to experience stability and control over themselves. And they sought after that through you, through manipulating you. And that's why from that point onwards, after that initial narcissistic injury which you caused, but they let it subside. You may have seen they had some issues with their ex at the time, so they just passed it off onto them instead of directed it at you, because, you know, in that moment, you're everything they've been waiting for. They've propped you up on a pedestal. You're everything they aspire to be. So they're not going to be directing that energy at you at that moment. Of course not. But despite that, it's kind of like unconsciously that injury is still there. Of how they're wishing they could be everything that you are. And that they could feel as good as you do. And this is why from that point on, it's all about them keeping you as close as possible to them. They hate any kind of distance or separation. They have to feel like you are theirs. They have to feel like you are within their grasp, their possession. Because if you're away from them and they're an observer of you as a separate individual, then they feel inferior to you. So it's all about uniting with you, creating this fusion where you become one. But not in a romantic sense, it's more transactional. It's more about you completing them by being as close to them as you possibly can. And they will manipulate you into doing that so that they don't have to feel so insecure about themselves. And this is why control is so important to them. Because, of course, if someone doesn't have control, they feel insecure. The narcissist has no internal strength. They have to control you in order for themselves to feel secure. They cannot control themselves. They have no power over themselves. They cannot control their reactions. They cannot self-regulate. They have an arrested emotional development. They're like children in adult bodies. So they've got to exercise control over you in order for them to feel secure. Especially considering that they are envious of you. They desire to take what's yours. They desire to be you. So they've got to have that power over you in order for themselves to feel empowered. They can't feel empowered by themselves. They can't generate it from within. There is no power there. And this is why when you're around them, you feel like you're just slowly dying. You're just slowly entering this endless void. And it's like you don't know when you're ever going to get out of it. It just seems to go on. And you're sinking deeper and deeper. This is what happens when you're dealing with narcissists. That is the void. And they pull you right into it because they'd rather you go into it than them. And of course, when they pull you into it, you're taking your light into it. You're lightening up their world, if only for a short period of time. So essentially, they throw you under the bus. They sacrifice you in order to elevate themselves. I'm just enjoying this tea right here in this park. While I'm giving you this message. But yeah, I mean, I know sometimes they may act like they're so grandiose, so arrogant. Like they're there to help you and they're playing the victim and acting like you're bad, you've done something to them. That's only to get you to keep giving. That's the only reason why they play the victim. It's because they cannot do without you. They need you. They're never going to be okay without you. Every tactic you see from them, it's because they want it to continue. They never want it to end. Forget about what you see from them. They are the exact opposite of you. You want an end to it. You want your own freedom and independence. They don't. They never want it to stop. Every tactic you see, the guilt tripping, the sulking, playing the victim, all of these things, it's all because they want it to continue. And this is why, no matter what, it does continue with them in some sort of way. Even if they're the ones that cut you off, I mean, they're still stalking you from behind the scenes. If you pay close attention, you will see it. And even if they're not stalking you, even if they're in the love bombing with the new supply and they look so happy now, this is all just to get a reaction out of you. And that's why they post it up so obsessively on their social media. And even if they're not posting it up, they've still got parts of you in their life, in their current reality, even if you're not there. Because remember everything they stole from you, your energy, all of the things they didn't deserve, your money and possessions. Were you okay with that? Did you feel like that was an equal exchange? Do you think that they deserve that from you? Of course not. They stole from you. They put on an act. They manipulated you. It was all under the radar. They were not real. So they stolen part of you, and they're keeping that energy in their life. Because of course, you know, quantum physics shows that everything is energy. Everything is made up of energy. And energy never dies. And everything that you are, everything that you possess, that is your energy. And if there is not an equal exchange of energy, if another person is holding back, if they're being manipulative, deceptive, then they are robbing you. So they've robbed parts of you, and that's what makes up the rest of their lives. They were doing this before, but especially from that point on, the rest of their life is fake. And they're still living their life in your energy. And this is why many of them will come back, they will sabotage you, discredit you, because they want you to do the same. They just don't want to feel like they're the only ones living a lie. The way they look at it is, if they pull you into that, if they can get you to act fake, then what is real? And in all fairness, I mean, that's an interesting way of looking at it. It's pretty accurate. Because it's all by your perception. You kind of need something in contrast to determine what is real. So if everyone is fake, if they make you fake just like them, then yeah, they're right. What is real? But this is the thing. This is why they stay on you pretty much for your entire life. They're always there. The reason why is because you actually can't be fake. You can for a short period of time, but it needs constant influence to keep it going. They just carry on their own. They do it automatically. And this is how they come in, they lie, they manipulate, they con you. They don't feel anything about that. They don't even care about it because they've been fake their entire lives anyway. It's become normal to them at this point. They normalize this behavior over time. But yeah, they kind of want to make you just like them because they do feel insecure about that. Remember, they always compare themselves to other people. So they're looking at you, they see you being authentic, and they don't like that. And this is why even after they've stolen from you, they still want to destroy you. They still want to destroy what little is left of you. Because even then, you know, it's still real. It's still authentic. It's still you being you, and it's like, you know, yeah, you may not be the you that you were before, but that's not your fault. Something happened to you, so technically you are still being you. You are still being real. I mean, you can't control everything that happens in the entire world. So that's not your fault. You're still being authentic. The narcissist knows they're not. They know they're being fake. They know that they cheated you. And so they regret losing you. And a lot of this really has to do with your authenticity. It's because you're authentic, you're real. You don't have to put on an act. You don't have to manipulate anyone. People love you just for you being you. And even if they don't, most people in this world are fake anyway. So who cares? You love just being the authentic you. And that's what counts. You don't want to put on an act. You don't want to be fake, even if it gets you the praise, the fame. You still don't want to do that. And they see that in you. They see that you're not alike. You don't have to do the things that they do. You don't have to work overtime to manipulate people's perceptions. You don't have to do any of that. You can just be you. You don't have to lie about anything. And yeah, you know, that's true power. Because it's generated from within. They have to get theirs externally. They can't do it like you do. And now let's go back. Let's take it back to the beginning. What was that? What was that in you? The very start that captured their attention, that drew them in. What was it that they wanted from you? What was that feeling that you were having? What was it that made them want to manipulate you, love bomb you, do all of these things to you, put you under a spell, get you under their control? You know, I'll tell you what that was. That was your authentic emotion, your authentic feeling. Because that's something that you get when you are being real, when you're not being fake, when you're just being you and you're not seeking someone else's approval. You're just in the moment, you're in a flow state. You're absorbed, fully immersed in the moment. That's what they saw in you. That's what they wanted. That's what they can't experience for themselves. They're always having to think 10 steps ahead. They're a predator of a very low consciousness, constantly in a state of desire, hunger, seeking to take from you, and that's what they want to take. That's what they want from you. And it's just you being you, just you in the moment. And they saw that in you as a vulnerability. They saw you as being unaware, as though you couldn't see what was going on. You couldn't see what they were doing behind the scenes to you. This is what they're like. And yeah, behind the scenes, deep down, they're having a good laugh at you, at your expense. Seeing you immersed, absorbed in the moment, in life. And just enjoying yourself, enjoying the things that you have. They were having a good laugh at that. But only because deep down they felt threatened by it. Because that's what they were envious of. That's what they wanted. Because yeah, you know, while many narcissists, they may be successful in some sort of way. They may have certain possessions, friends, whatever it may be. But they can't get any direct fulfillment from it. It makes them bored. It just doesn't do anything for them. Because it's fake. They don't really deserve any of that stuff. They manipulated their way there. They deceive people. They stole from people. So it's not really theirs. And this is why it's all about provoking envy, jealousy, individuation sometimes, exclusion. Is to keep you out of it because they're projecting their own feelings onto you when they're doing that. When it seems like they're immersed in something They're keeping you out. They're triangulating you, smearing you, isolating you, all of these things, trying to provoke envy and jealousy in you, because they're projecting their own feelings in that moment. Even though they appear to have something, they appear to be doing something, they've stolen your qualities, your energy, characteristics, possessions, whatever. They've taken this stuff from you. They can't get any fulfillment from it. Doesn't matter what they're doing, doesn't matter if they bought a new house, they bought a new car, they got a new partner. It's not doing anything for them. The only thing that gives them a high is knowing that they've taken from someone, they've depleted them. Even if they've just come around just to steal your happiness and contentment, that's the only thing that makes them feel good. And this is why you could never have a relationship with them. Because cooperating and working together, that doesn't do anything for them. Because anything that you achieve together, they can't enjoy anyway. They can only enjoy it if they're getting something they don't deserve, if they're stealing from you, or if they're keeping you out of it. That's the only thing that brings them any sort of joy. And this is why they will regret losing you. Because this wasn't what you were doing, and I know that, but it's how it felt for them, seeing you, with them being an observer. They saw you living your life, enjoying yourself, being satisfied with yourself, experiencing these emotions, sensations. They saw that like the predator that they are, and they wanted to feast on that and take that from you. That was the initial narcissistic injury that we all caused. It's what they envied in us. It's what really stirred up this predatory instinct in them to pounce on us. And as always, they want to project it onto us. They want to make us feel like, no, now it's us. We are the ones watching their life. We are the ones stalking them. We are the ones who can't leave things alone. We are the ones who want to take from them after they just robbed us. Because they want us to feel how they did at the beginning. They want us to be the ones on the outside, excluded, looking in on their lives, thinking that they're having a good time, they're living their best lives. The reason why it never ends, the reason why this competition, this rivalry keeps going, is because that's never going to be a reality. What it was with you, when they were observing you and envying you, that was real. That was genuinely you in the moments, enjoying your life. What you're seeing with them now, that's all orchestrated. They've planned and coordinated the elements of the situation to produce a desired effect. It's fake. It's all staged. It's all set up, rigged. There's nothing natural about it. There's nothing natural whatsoever. And yeah, that's why they still can't get any fulfillment from it, and they still have to deliberately exclude you, provoke envy in you, make you feel jealous, make you feel like you're missing something, sabotage you, discredit you, do all of these things to you. This is why they still have to do that to you. Because it's never going to be that way for them, and they know it, and that's why they have to work overtime, continuously doing these things to you. Give it a thumbs up if this is making sense to you. I see you there, Stephen. Thank you. Stephen Young says, your content is gold. You deserve a Nobel Prize. My guy, you are a narcissism mastermind. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. I have been doing this now for over 7 years. And of course, you know, constantly regurgitating this information in my mind, it does allow me to provide a very deep analysis to you. And honestly, yeah, I would say this is one of the most accurate descriptions I've ever given on why a narcissist will regret losing you. This is really the reason why. At the core of it, this is it. This is what it's about. And I can tell you before, you know, being an innocent empath myself, being someone who was quite unaware and, you know, never thinking in this way, I could never understand how these people think. But after studying this day in, day out, I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on it. But of course, you know, I'd love to hear your feedback. Let me know what you think about this concept. Does this sound like what you've experienced? Mimi Reese says, criticize or question them, even kindly, and they turn on you. They can't take it. I said everything's got to be staged, orchestrated. It's all got to be a big setup. It all has to be rigged from the start. And they've got to be in control. They've got to be 10 steps ahead of it, because it's all fake. It's all a lie. And yeah, they're clearly very insecure about it. Lorca Zola says, loving a narcissist is like a mouse kissing a snake. That's a brilliant description. It is. I mean, you are like the prey kissing a predator. And yet they like that in many ways, you know, they like it the way that you're unaware. Because they know that, you know, really you should be giving them the time of day. If you knew how dangerous they are, if you knew that they are predators, they're just naturally wired to be that way. John Tracy says, if you begin scratching your head, believe me, that's a good sign that it's time to get out. It is, you know, when you start experiencing all of this confusion and you realize that, you know, they're using these covert manipulative tactics, the manipulation and gaslighting, and they're really just pulling the strings on you like a puppet. You know, once you start to become aware of this, but by that point, I mean, it only works on you when you aren't aware of it. Once you're aware of what they're trying to do, they can't do it then. So you have to begin aware, or you have to be distracted by something. You have to be immersed in something. But if you're on the same wavelength as them, you're thinking the way they think, when they do what they do, if you manage to match it, if you can tap into their minds and see that they are miserable, they are depressed, they're envious of you, it just completely, it takes back your power. They take your power by making you unaware, or by you being just naturally unaware of what they're doing, because you don't think that way. And it's a shame, it's a shame that we can't all just, not think in the way that they do. That would be much better, but unfortunately, these predators do exist. Typically what happens is it goes back and forth. So people become aware of it, and then they want to have the power, but then the power gets to their head and they become abusive. This is what seems to happen throughout history. Papa Keel says, I don't watch many narcissist videos anymore. I feel it keeps me trapped. I applaud your strength. I felt like that at the beginning. Is that by watching these videos, it kept me trapped. But I feel that that was because it triggered me and I wasn't ready to accept this information. But that's just it, by watching these videos, in time you will no longer feel trapped. It releases you by you educating yourself on this. But this is something that you should really continually educate yourself on, because it's not going anywhere. These narcissists are still going to be here. They're still going to be doing what they do, just in different ways. They keep finding new ways to manipulate people and to put them under a spell. So my advice is to keep watching the videos. Even if it's just one video a day, definitely keep watching the videos. And I do myself. Because you never know when the next time is that you may meet another narcissist. And if you had watched a certain video, you could have already been ahead of it before it happened to you. But yeah, it's a horrible feeling, to be around these types of people. It's just what happened to them in their childhood. They quite literally find no joy, no fulfillment in anything. They have to use you in order for them to feel anything. When they're on their own, they feel nothing. And this is why they're always the ones coming after you, harassing you, smearing you, stealing from you, not leaving you alone. Because you are the one who has the light. They are the darkness. They are trying to consume your light. But no matter what they do, they'll never be able to put it out. Joe's Lopez says, is this really you talking live? I'm not sure if you're new to YouTube, but yes, this is a live video. I often do see the messages, people ask, or rather people state that this is a pre-recorded video. But I do feel like I'm here live in this park right now, filming this, so. But keep in mind, you know, I've been doing this for many years, so it may come across as pre-recorded because I've had a lot of practice. Lorca Zola says there is nothing wrong with swimming with sharks as long as they aren't hungry. That's an interesting perspective. But with narcissists, I mean, even if they're not hungry, you know, they still have a void. They can't ever really be satisfied. Even though it may seem like they're satisfied with something in the moment, and they don't desire anything more. If there's something that is so high value, it's so good for them, they're still gonna want it. It's kind of like if you're eating a meal at a restaurant and even though you're pretty much full, if you see a nice cake or something, you still might want dessert. Same thing with a narcissist and their supply. Dazzler Waslow says, yeah, it's pretty much a con artist personality. That's right, everything they do is a con. It's only to rob you of what they don't naturally possess. They have to get it from us. They have to deplete us. This is why anyone who gets involved with them, they get drained and they are robbed of their potential. Because that's the only thing that can happen when you're dealing with an empty person who is in denial and living in a fantasy world. You're the one who has to pay the price. The George says they only regret losing you if they see you have something they want after the discard, and now are too stubborn to ever admit it was a mistake to treat you how they did. That's right, you gotta have something. And typically you're always gonna have something. You're always gonna have that light. And that's another thing, you know, which they don't count on, is that even when they sabotage you, they destroy everything, that can often make them even more envious and jealous. Because they've destroyed everything, and then everything you try to create, no matter how small, you know, they're already on that wavelength of destroying to eradicate their feelings of envy and jealousy. So then they become hypersensitive to any little thing that you build. They become obsessed. And not only that, but for you, I mean, you know, when they sabotage you, potentially they're eliminating all of the distractions, all of the people who may have been distracting you, and maybe superficial things, money, cars. Once all of that goes, you're left with yourself. And that is the core thing that they get envious of. It just tunes out all of the distractions, and they're left to reflect on how you can still be satisfied with yourself. And yet they need all of these things and they're still not happy. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times, you know, the things they do, it backfires on them. A lot of their attacks, it really just comes back to haunt them. It becomes a constant reminder of the emptiness that they feel inside. Papa Keel says it's our lack of self-love that keeps us trapped. Make self-love a value. We were taught to give without taking care of ourselves. Well, that's just it. They don't want you to love yourself, because if you love yourself, typically you're going to hold on to it. You're going to keep it close. They want you to be unaware of yourself. This is why they try and get you to play and just have fun with them, because they want to take yourself. And of course, why do they want to take yourself? It's because they haven't got one. They have no self. How can they have a self if they deny their own actions? If they manipulate, if they're frauds? They have no true identity, because they would have to incorporate that as well in order for it to be real. And this is why they don't want you to love yourself. They don't want you to practice self-care. They want you to lose your awareness of yourself, because they want to take that from you. And that's why, as for them, you know, they want to be heavily aware of their false self, which they take from you and use to polish it. Apologise, I know there's quite a few trolls to the live chat. A lot of sarcastic comments. Some of them are becoming more and more clever to go undetected. Let me just come in the shade here. Robert Hazel says they lose everything in the end. Yeah, sometimes they do. I mean, even if they don't, what difference does it make? I mean, Typically, they're just the fake people who can't find fulfillment in anything directly. We've got to have other people watching in order for them to get supply. And typically they have to make everyone just like them in order to attack their source of supply. So essentially it's kind of like in the movie The Mummy. With that guy, he like runs into the pyramids or the temple or whatever. And there's like this big room full of gold. And he's just like trapped in the room. It's useless to him. Because of course he needs things, he needs people in order to really get anything out of it. Same thing with a narcissist. They end up, they can't get fulfillment for anything directly. Everything's just a show, it's all an orchestration to them. They need people to prop them up, but all of these people end up becoming fake just like them, if they're not already. Typically they can only really be around fake people anyway. Anyone else they run into the ground. So yeah, even if they don't lose everything, they're essentially like that guy in The Mummy who's in the pyramid or temple. They have this huge pile of gold, but it doesn't do anything for them. They can't do anything with it. That's what happens to them. And that's why they need supply, and eventually, the supply runs out. Daslow also says, yes, I agree, man. It's liberating to become as aware as possible. Even though it can be an unpleasant inside, it's empowering. And it's like just becoming wiser about what people to look out for. Yeah, very true, Daslow Oslo. And that's the thing, because narcissists are fake people. They're living a lie. They're not really awake or aware. When you're around them, all they can do is make you the same. They make you less conscious, less aware. You're not even thinking clearly. You don't even know who you are in that moment. It's like you could just forget your own name because it's all a fantasy. Remember, they created a false character in their childhoods. And, this was something they saw in other people, bits and pieces that they liked, celebrities, could have been TikTok, Instagram, could have been anything. But it's all of these bits and pieces they use to create a false character. And from that point on, they live in a fantasy world because it's less painful for them. It's less painful because then they feel like they're getting more attention by doing that. But that's why in order for you to exist around them, you have to be unaware. You can't be grounded in reality. I remember that's different to what I spoke about earlier, with us being the unaware empath. We're unaware of deception, manipulation. It's the opposite. To be around them, you have to be unaware of truth, reality, facts. That's what you have to be unaware of. So it's the opposite. Empaths, we're typically grounded in reality just naturally. It's just how we naturally are. But yeah, I hope this is a good description for you. on how the narcissist will regret losing you. Watch it back, save it, so you can watch it again. Some very important notes in this video. But yeah, if this was good for you, give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, subscribe. Drop a comment down below. I read your comments every day. If you would like guidance or support in your healing journey, book a one-on-one with me today by going to my website. It's narcsurvivor.co.uk. Your donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You can donate by going to my PayPal. It's paypal.me/narcsurvivor. And also, I do have my Instagram. You can follow me there. It's Narc Survivor YouTube. All the links are down below in the live chats. Thank you, Maurice, for providing those. All right, thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video. And I will talk to you soon.